All right, good night. We now take you over to Miss Kamala Prasad Bisasa. A press conference read broadcast, all right?
We always say listen and then lead. And so I listened together with my team. And I want to let you know that what I've seen with this and observed, this budget it ignores all the harsh realities of the devastating effects of national, financial, economic, and social decline that we currently have. It provides no cogent strategic policy prescriptions to halt the ongoing economic contraction, but tells us how to generate new revenue streams. Indeed, it appears that the government is setting the groundwork for justifying maybe going back to the IMF. This budget too, the document, instead of giving us some concrete policies and programs designed to get people back to work, to get our economy back to health, it is littered with clickbaiting. Now, as journalists, you will know the word clickbaiting is where you put a nice headline, a nice buzzword. So clickbaiting and buzzwords, instead with repeated broken promises, at times outright lies, and then more measures to cause more suffering, double hardship, and pressure on an already pressured population. First things first, which ended up last in this 4-hour presentation, was the increase in fuel prices. Now, we know that once fuel prices increase, everything will increase, because everything is dependent on transportation, distribution, packaging, printing, whatever it may be. So every price that is already high is going to increase. And in fact, today someone was telling me, a few persons said some supermarkets have already increased prices even before the budget was read today. So that post-budget they will raise again. So prices will increase, as I say, already pressured population with more pressure. Now, the minister boasted that he had raised the price of the fuel twice, and they are riot yet. Well, Minister, don't hold your breath. I'm not asking anyone to riot, but this latest increase in fuel prices is going to bring untold hardship on the population. I want to quote and get people to understand the feelings of people who remain unheard, the voiceless persons. Indeed, again, someone told me today that if you see an accident and you go to where the accident is, what happens? The man who bawling and crying, oh God, help, 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 don't take them on. The one you have to take on and look after is the one you're not hearing anything from, because that means something is seriously wrong or the person may be dead. So in the same way we did our budget consolidations to give voices to the voiceless. And I want to quote for you from the great Martin Luther King when he said, "A riot is the language of the unheard." And this budget then is totally tone deaf to the harsh realities facing the population. Last year I had warned about poverty, the virus of poverty sweeping our country. Yet my opinions and warnings regarding the feelings of the poor remain unheard and unheeded by this government. You all know Buju Banton. I lived in Jamaica for a while, so the language is a little Jamaican, but I understand what he's saying. In jungle to back a wall, he says, he's saying something have to happen for them. No, people have feelings too. Something have to happen to let people know that people have feelings, those voiceless persons. So this budget, I think, will only hasten our country's decline into chaos and disorder. Thank you. Well, just in time, this is the, with respect to the gas prices, were you able to get that for me? Darren, were you able to get the gas prices from 2015 to now? How much it will cost to fill a tank now? You could work it out and pass it to me, please. Yes. So I'm saying further decline, further chaos for our country. Some people are still being distracted by cricket, by carnival, by fetes. The song says the economy could fall down, we jamming still. The city could burn down, we jamming still. I serve a warning to those who choose to be willfully ignorant and continue jamming while ignoring the feelings of the poor, because this budget sets us for a very dangerous time ahead. From 2015 to date, I have identified just over 103 repeated broken budget promises. Every year the government comes with repeats of broken promises. Someone just said to me, it's like you wash, you rinse, and then you recycle or repeat. That's what they've done with many of the promises. And I told you I identified 103 thus far. I will go in depth today to see how many of them have actually been repeated again, but I can say many, many repeats of promises that you have already broken. Citizens are still waiting for the completed digital hubs. I think that's back in today. They're waiting for the free public Wi-Fi, promised back again today. The sick and ailing are going without medication, without hospital beds, yet they fail to deliver, and they often repeated today, the central block of the Port of Spain Hospital. Where are the thousands of housing units they have promised to deliver each year? What about our women who are being raped and murdered, and citizens gunned down, robbed daily? Not even children and the elderly are spared. And yet still, come back with the same old promise about what? CCTV cameras. Again. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Ad nauseam. I'm told here, if I may interspice, for a TIDA in 2015, it cost $121, is that it? $121 to fill a TIDA tank. Today, well now, because he said the price will go up now for the fuel, it will cost you $270. Somebody with a TIDA has given me this estimate. So that fuel price is going to hit everyone. Oh, may I just say, because he did this at the end, when he talked about the fuel prices, my memory serves me right, he says, I'm going to give a one-off grant. I'll give you a one-off grant for persons earning below $7,500, a one-off fuel grant of $1,000. To take effect when? The 1st of January, 2023. But the price of the gas goes up? No. As he spoke, those tanks would be costing you more to fill up. So, repeated promises, CCTV camera again, nothing new, nothing much to deal with national security when the country is reeling with the onslaught of crime. What is even more incredible about this year's budget is that whilst it repeats some of the failed past promises, it contains very few new initiatives to grow our economy, to make life an easier or better quality of life for citizens. Very little is given to new and innovative programs and policies. And even when we get to the new initiatives, I don't believe them, because for so many years you keep breaking your promises that even when you come today to make some new promises, I don't expect them. They will go the way of all the other broken promises. So I don't believe you, Minister, when you come joyfully to predict and project. You are consistently wrong in all your projections, consistently wrong. I noticed this year because I was waiting for him. He has always been wrong about production in the energy sector. Although he says the energy sector is the cornerstone and, you know, everything is built on the energy sector. When they have devastated, they have abandoned the energy sector, today boasting repeatedly about the energy sector being the cornerstone and so on, but he failed to give us the production numbers. He did not speak of production, oil production or gas production at all in his budget presentation. Did I come back to that? I know you want me to go into the fiscal incentives because they were all pumping the desk and they're so happy about these things. So I've given you one downside because you have fiscal incentives, which is supposedly to help you, like the one-off fuel grant and so on. And then you'll have other fiscal measures that are punitive. That is by way of taxes and fines to, again, bring more hardship. So let's take the fiscal incentives first. And as you realize, we had very little time to examine these that he announced at the end of his speech. As I say, they are just tinkering with the economy. I think I mentioned to you this morning, there is no strategic thinking in this budget. Instead, using the fiscal measures, which is about how you earn revenue, and which is about how you spend that money to help people. And so there's no strategic thinking into that budget, and there's just tinkering with little bits and pieces here. Sometimes I'm reminded, I know at my office down south, there's a market there, and they always have some guys walking around, and one of my staff used to call them sprangers. So I said, what's a spranger? What is a spranger? And they told me a spranger is someone who They'll pass by and pick up your little plant pot or pick up, whatever they could find. So these measures, the nuisance taxes, nuisance fines, like a Spranger's budget. So nothing here, no comprehensive plan for making specific sectors more competitive. One incentive was the increase in personal income tax allowance. That reeks of being more in the nature, again, buzzword, clickbait, and election ploy. We know we have election soon coming up. When you work out that, what they're offering you, it goes down to $4.10 a day for those persons who earn below $7,500. So you give a personal income tax allowance. $4.10. I don't think you could even buy a doubles with that today. I don't think you could even buy a bacon shack. Well, don't talking about roti. It's nowhere near going anywhere near that. You wouldn't be able to buy any of those. So cost of food has gone up so much. You say, I'm going to give you this tax allowance of $4.10 per day. Are you real? You're giving Farris $23 million in rents. You throw out $200 and something million in NGC down the train, one that collapsed on you. You're giving some member of our minister's family over $2 billion with respect to work. And you want to give the ordinary citizen here who earn below $7,500, what do you want to give them? $4.10 tax break per day. Tax break is not money in your hand, That is a tax break. Meaning if you had to pay $50 in tax, well, okay, minus $4.10 per day. Moving along, he comes to talk about another incentive, the increase in the VAT threshold. That is to say, he's moved it from, somebody remind me, 500,000. You had to be over 500,000 to be registered for VAT. Now he said, no, you have to be over 7,500 to be registered for VAT. No, that is a double-edged sword. Because when you are registered for VAT, you are entitled to claim back VAT that you expend in your business. When you buy goods and services and so on, you can claim back the VAT. If you are now moving it up to businesses 700,000, all these smaller little businesses now cannot claim back VAT, so even if they have to pay VAT when they purchase goods and services, they can't claim any part back of that. So you're not helping those small businesses. And then, quite frankly, even with that increase in the threshold, I don't expect to see increases in sales, in the volume sales. And therefore, the $12.5 million will have little or no stimulus effect on those SMEs. Then he talks about giving you a renewable energy rebate. This will be laughable, but not so tragic. A renewable energy rebate is for bigger commercial farms. It's not for the small farmers down there. And here what he's giving you that for. As a farmer, he says, small farmers will get this rebate for if they invest in wind energy, if they invest in solar energy, and I think water energy, if my memory is correct. And therefore, small farmers will not be in a position to invest thousands of dollars in solar energy. Be real. I don't think even if one of us here working and could invest in a solar farm, or wind farm, or in a water farm. So this is laughable and jokey to think that small farmers will go and apply for an energy rebate. This is for some big business farmer. Probably they have a friend or a family who's in real big business farming and could invest and get this rebate. He talks about expansion of the apprenticeship program. Well, that's a joke, because I think it's 200 apprentices. Someone help me. When he said that he would, you could understand, we just heard him, so the memory was lapsed a little bit. He mentioned on the fiscal measures, Nicholas, under the fiscal measures at the end, the apprenticeship program. How many persons? I'll come back to it. He talks about a manufacturing tax credit. That is nonsense as well. There's nobody who will invest $5 or $10 million because the manufacturer will get back a $50,000 tax credit. So he talks about giving you this tax credit for manufacturing, but you have to invest huge amounts. And is that going to be an incentive to you? Because you would get back a 50,000. Would you go and invest a $5 million or $10 million just to get back a... So this is not going to stimulate the manufacturing sector. Again, big business may benefit, very big business may benefit. The tax incentives he offers for its upstream and deep water production, they are not going to cause anyone to accelerate plans for that sector. In fact, the incentives in the energy sector will not have any significant impact. Then we come to a tax credit he's giving for the financial rationale. The rationale he gives for the tax credit for financial providers, it doesn't make any sense either. But he says it's going to help develop a digital economy. So some more purchases may be made, but that does not create a digital economy. If the initiative were targeted at wearables, maybe mobile payments and so on, it may help, but not where the incentive is not targeted at alternative payments. So persons will continue to what? Use your credit cards, as you've always done, or go with cash. So that's not going, that tax rate is not going to help to create a digital economy. And that's another clickbait, that word, buzzword, that he wants to use throughout the statement, digitization, digitalization, digital. Because that's the latest buzzword. Everything must go digital. But the measures that he proposes in here, none of them does not a digital society make. And on top of that, the promises he made last year have all been broken. All been broken. So then we come to the fuel grant. I mentioned that before. He talked about these incentives and others. I dub them as mama guys, pure mama guy. They can't help themselves. They're just tinkering with no clear vision and understanding of what needs to be done. I turn now to the nuisance taxes that he called out in his fiscal measures here again today. These measures are nothing but nuisance taxes. I said, like a sprout walking outside and picking up your things. They're designed to raise revenue. They will put increased and unnecessary pressure on already stressed population. As a matter of fact, let's look at it. The minister is increasing fees chargeable for a commission of affidavit to an affidavit. Commission of affidavits are not seeing the benefit of raising these fees to the Comptroller of Customs and the Registrar General from 100 to 200, from 200 to 400. They are in effect nuisance taxes. There are several other taxes which it seems you all did not get around to write it into my script. But let me just take a minute because, like the Spranger, scrap iron penalty is being increased from $15,000 to $100,000. Illegal state timbering. So he's going to increase fines from $20,000 to $100,000 for illegal timbering. But what about illegal quarrying? Didn't the minister come and make a song and a dance and cry about illegal quarrying to the tune of billions of dollars, and nothing about that? Illegal quarrying, illegal quarrying cheats the state of revenue, and he said they propose to do some heavy fines for it, but they will do that in early 2023. So no proposal in this budget. Talks about the scrap iron penalties I mentioned. He talks about approved small company exemption from corporation tax, the renewable energy I dealt with already, fees by commissioners of affidavits. He talks about increasing fees on firearm users' license. And we in the opposition want to take credit for one statement that he made. Very recently, our Shadow Minister of Agriculture, MP Ravi Ratiram, raised the issue of the threat of the giant African snail. So I will call this the giant the Ravi Ratiram grant, because they've now put a little segment in his budget statement saying, look, he's going to give $3 million more to the Ministry of Agriculture to deal with this. Then we come to the inter-island air bridge and sea bridge travel. Well, I don't know what they have against old people. So what they've done for the sea bridge, at present, and from way back when, over 60 was zero. You had to pay nothing to use the sea bridge. Over 60, as of today, $25 for a ticket, one way. So that's $50 to go and come on the sea bridge. The standard class has been increased to $75 one way, so that's $150 both ways. The premium class on the Sea Bridge increased from $100 to $150. Now, you will say, okay, these are small nuisance things. You're going to make a little bit of money from it. The point is, there is so much other money being thrown away and pelted and wasted. And these are the things that you're putting on. Air bridge, one way, increased to $200. So both ways will cost you $400. So again, a punitive tax. Then we have, well, I mentioned the fuel prices already. And those are about it. Nuisance taxes. I'll speak more of these on Friday, of course. We need a little time to drill down. But I think I'm doing fine so far with drilling down on some of these matters. Let's come to the revenue windfall. That was a sleight of hand. That's a real... I think this man is selling snake oil. He's a snake oil salesman. On the one hand, he tells us the windfall in the revenue because not... And again, he wants to take credit for that when we all know it's nothing to do with him. I don't know if they told Putin to start a war against Ukraine. But we do know it's that war that has caused the increase in our fuel prices. And he then comes and tells us, yes, we got a great windfall, we get so much more money and so on and so on. And then he tells us that, well, you know, we will still have a deficit of over $2 billion. Recently at the Spotlighting, he boasted about $8 billion more in revenue. And he's telling us we will still have a deficit over $2 billion for the fiscal year 2022. And they have not told us what they've done with that windfall in revenue that he received. He has not shared with the population where that money has gone, that increased revenue that he got. He doesn't tell us how he's going to spend it in the new fiscal year because he's expecting, again, more revenue from the energy sector. Doesn't tell us. Then when we look at the investment climate, does this help us? Because some of the ways to grow our revenue stream and therefore have more money to spend is by having an investment climate that is inviting and encouraging. But when we look at the overall macroeconomic direction of this government, they have no clear policy direction to signal to local and foreign investors where to place their capital. Citizens do not have a clear focus on which sectors will be growing and how to prepare to take advantage of potential growth sectors through education and training. Investors will look with grave concern at an energy-based economy that continues to record declines in the face of the prices, high prices in the sector. Foreign investors will form one conclusion: the environment for business is not favorable. And this is a critical reason why the economy continues to slide downwards under this minister and this government. And I say no amount of marketing can mask a failing economy. Worse, the fact that the minister continues to misrepresent the facts cannot instill confidence in domestic or foreign investors. So, where we had the highest FDI, foreign direct investment, under my watch, we now have minus FDI, which is to say outflows. No FDI is coming in. It is just flowing out. People are repatriating their investments foreign, and that affects our forex very seriously if we don't get that foreign investment in the economy. When we look at the health, you know, there are certain elements in any budget or in any economy you can use to check the health of the economy. In the same way, to check the health of your body, you will check your pulse beat, you will check your heart rate, blood pressure, I guess, blood sugar levels. In the same way, for an economy, there are certain, what they call the macro fundamentals that help you to say, is the economy fine? Is the economy declining? Is the economy growing? And an examination, and I'll do that in more depth again on Friday, but from an examination of the data available, it is clear that Trinidad and Tobago's economy is on a deathbed. It is not just unhealthy. We are on a deathbed with respect to the economy. Every single year under this government, GDP has fallen. And the minister is dishonest. I respectfully say that. Because he comes to compare what is known as real GDP and what is known as nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is just a value before you minus for inflation. Real GDP has to deal with, which is the international standard to measure economic growth, real GDP. And that is the value of goods and services corrected for price increases caused by inflation. But the minister comes every year and he did it again. And he takes in nominal GDP numbers, which is high, obviously, because they're not real. It is just because of inflation of the dollars. Those numbers come and he uses that instead of real GDP. But when we examine real GDP, GDP has collapsed by 20% under Minister Imbe's tenure as Minister of Finance. Since they came into office to now, GDP has collapsed, but the minister comes with his nominal GDP. And he did it again today. He did it today again. I can't find the exact words, but he used nominal GDP to show a higher GDP. When obviously every year it's fallen again this year. Contrary to his boast, the economy is not growing. It is declining. Whether it's going slow or fast, it is declining, it's contracting. And as I say, our economy, using the GDP, using inflation, using the other macro fundamentals, is definitely on a deathbed. The minister boasted that government policy in the last 30 months paved the way for recovery in all economic sectors. He did that at the spotlight. He lied. He lied. And really outright lies in this budget statement. Contrary to his boast, the economy is not growing. The issue is that this government, they failed after 7 years to provide a workable solution to our shrinking economy. In 2016, there was no pandemic, but the economy contracted. 2017, no pandemic, economy contracted. 2018, no pandemic. 2019, no pandemic. So how do you account for the decline in the economy with respect to COVID? Then, since we've opened up, what has been causing the continued decline? You can't blame COVID again. Continued decline of our GDP production in 21 and 22. Our credit rating, again, the minister is so smart, selling snake oil to this country, or those who will be foolish enough to believe. He talks about our credit rating and he's boasting today. He boasted that for the first time in 15 years, Standard & Poor adjusted our rating, okay? Adjusted our rating and shifted its projections and so on. And he says that something to boast of. First time in 15 years. Minister, they adjusted the rating and it is still at sub-investment level. Under my watch, we were at investment level when it came to S&P rating. Under this government, it has gone to almost junk status, and that's what he's boasting about. They made a minor assessment, a minor change, the Standard & Poor, to the rating. But what they did was the rating, it remained at the BBB. And all they did was to change the outlook. So, Minister, that is nothing to boast about. And you did not mention Moody's investment rating. They usually use that one as well. You didn't mention it today at all, and I'm not surprised, because Moody's is telling us clearly that the world energy prices, Moody's is telling us we are almost at junk status as well. And they have not finalized their rating for this year, but I don't expect that rating to change. We'll still be near the junk status because nothing has happened in that regard. Accessing foreign exchange remains a problem. That's another major indicator that we have to look at. He did mention some things today, with, I think with the Exim Bank, was it Russia? Exim Bank, yes. So we'll talk a little more about that. Ease of doing business. Once again, the minister is promising and boasting, we have improved the ease of doing business. You hear a lie? That's another lie. Because they've done absolutely nothing to deal with the ease of doing business. He did not mention the ports, for example. He didn't mention anything about the port. He didn't mention anything about customs. Those are things to help. We were down to a rank of 158 the last time this was done. That year, what year was it, please, when the last ranking was done for ease of doing business? 2021. And we were at rank 158 out of how many countries ranked? We'll get it back. Okay, so we like nearly down at the bottom of the class. Basically, that's what it means in ratings for ease of doing business. And nothing has changed since then to now. And nothing in this budget to address that. For example, to get a construction permit. This is what ease of doing business is about. How long it takes to get a construction permit. In that, we ranked at 128th. Trading across the border, we ranked at 134. Paying taxes, imagine paying tax when they really need a tax. We ranked at 160. Enforcing contracts, a rank of 174. How long it takes to clear things on the port. These are the things that help you with the ease of doing business. How long it takes when you have a contractual breach and you have to enforce a contract in a court. How long does it take? Well, you all know how long we take in courts. Has anything been done to address that? So there's nothing in this budget or in the previous ones, in spite of the repeated boast of fixing ease of doing business. So they just pay lip service without doing it. Another very worrying area is debt. The minister keeps talking about the debt trap, the naysayers and others talking about it. We are in a debt trap, minister. You should be honest. Again, I say you're not honest. You're less than honest with the population. When in a budget, what is a budget for? You must come and give a review of what has happened and then project what you are going to do to improve the economy, improve the lives of people. They have pushed us into a debt trap. Instead of admitting the truth, seeking help to fix this problem, he keeps money that is not his, putting future generations into debt. He claims the central government debt to GDP had been stabilized. You hear a lie? That's another lie. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Stabilized debt to GDP, stabilized. And he knows that is patently untrue. He knows it because he has the same numbers that I have because these are put up on the various websites of the government. We see in 2015, when I was in office, the data would show when we left in 2015, the debt to GDP ratio was 46.3. You know what it is today? 88.7 debt to GDP ratio. And you want to tell me that it's stabilized? How come when things falling down that is stable? I always thought stabilization was this. But it has been declining every single year. And you want to lie and tell the country the debt is stabilized, debt to GDP is stabilized. There has been almost a doubling of that debt figure from when we left office. In just 7 years, this minister's government have indebted this country by billions more in borrowings. And what is this supposed to do? Oh, we didn't borrow anything for the last several months. We didn't borrow. Hey, hooray, thank you very much. When you've already taken us so deep into that debt trap, that future generations will have to continue to pay for it. He told us with the HSF, and again, we've been calling on him. I think MP Charles has been on his case. Tell us about the HSF. Tell us if you have broken the law or if you have, according to law, you have put the money into the HSF. Today, what he told us, he said that he put about 165 million US into the HSF. But you know what he didn't tell us? How much is it total in the HSF? How much is it today, Minister? You have to tell us that. Because what you've done, this minister has withdrawn $2.5 billion out of the HSF over the years. TT, $17 billion. Huh? Our savings. They have never put a cent into, not one red or black cent, into the HSF, but withdrew in their 7 years about 17 billion TT. And in fact of that, the higher expected energy, petrochemical prices and so on, the more money in the HSF, we would have been earning more money for the citizens of our country. But we will stick on it as well to tell us what is the balance. A report that came out sometime earlier, a newspaper report in this year, said that the balance in the HSF had plummeted by $1.8 billion. So he's selling snake oil. Yes, I put 167 million into the thing, but he doesn't tell us where is that level. And two things would have happened. He would have withdrawn, they would have withdrawn over time. The other is given the state of the markets. Remember, these funds are invested abroad. A lot of it is invested abroad, and the markets have been very bad. So it is possible that this HSF has dropped considerably. Minister, tell us that. Unemployment, look, COVID or no COVID, they have taken our unemployment rates to really, really bad numbers. Thousands of persons have lost their jobs and continue to lose jobs. So unemployment, using the other indicator from the macro, is clear that we are on a deathbed. The country, economy is on a deathbed. Food inflation. This is another indicator critical for its relevance to the stability in doing business, purchasing equipment and materials, engaging in contracts. It is also essential because of its importance to the social sector. The index of retail food prices rose to 105 in September 2015 when we were in office. And by June of 2022, in recent data release, it is now 132%. So from 105, the index was 105, we are now at 130, obviously steep increases. When we look at the data, we know that the retail price index as of June 22 has shown increases in the prices of oils, fruits, vegetables, meat and fish from September 2015 again to June as follows, June this year. Oils and fats, a 42% increase. Fruits, 28% increase. Vegetables, a 26% increase. Fish, a 34% increase. Meat, a 24% increase. This is food we're talking about. This is food, and after that fuel price hike and some other measures talked about today, that is going to get worse in the very short term. The price of these items increase higher than the overall increase in the price of food. Therefore, it matters not if parents want to give their child fish and fruits and so on, oils or green leafy vegetables. They're being called upon to spend as high as 42% now on average for some of these items. And at the same time, salaries remain stagnant. I believe the minister today said he's keeping his offer of 4%. Food price gone up by 42%, but you are keeping your wage offer for public sector employees at 4%. The energy sector is definitely not recovering. I will go into more details on Friday to show the decline every single year in oil production, oil output, and in gas production. Gas production, he has been consistently wrong every time he has predicted. In 2018, he said by 2020, we will be producing 4.3 billion SCF, standard cubic feet, of gas. That year, from 4.3 what he predicted, we produced 3.5 billion. 21, he says, he promised 3.2 billion standard cubic feet of gas in 2021. In 2021, that's what he promised, predicted. Gas production fell below 3 billion. For the first time in years, it dropped down to 2.5. So he's predicting 3. So he comes in the budget like the snake-oil salesman, selling you all the glories and good things, but by the end of the year, these things never materialize. I always say P&M promises never materialize. So whilst all these things sound so grand and great, it just doesn't happen. But by that time, people have forgotten that he promised it last year, and he promised it before. In the last budget in 2020, he predicted for this year, fiscal 22, we would have got 3.37 and 3.6 billion cubic foot of gas, standard cubic feet. But to hide that he failed again, he tells us gas production has increased. The minister's gas projection for 2023, we'll see what he has to say about. But this year, he really didn't give the production numbers because it is clear that he's been lying consistently with wrong predictions. Oil production, so as gas. Last budget, he predicted 86,000 barrels of oil for 2022. And where have we now reached? We are at 59,000. So from 86,000 barrels, we are now at 59,000. So every time, oil and gas keeps falling. And today, he announced a plethora of new gas initiatives, future gas projects. Something really great. They have signed an agreement with this one, Shell, BP, Shotstone, you name them. We've signed all the lists. Signing an agreement does not bring gas, does not bring oil. You have signed it, it is still, some of them, they said they were negotiating. So, Minister, you're selling, you're a snake oil salesman. Snake oil salesman. You have promised some of these things year after year as well. You come again this year. These will not help us adjust the gas shortage and oil shortage in the coming year. Health. We have a Simongal report. Over 19 recommendations. And not one has been implemented, not one. That report came in since February of this year, not one. The health sector is a chaos, is chaotic, and there's a lot of suffering. So as I close, I want to thank you all very much on behalf of the UNC. We will continue to respect people of our nation. We'll talk where we can to expose the lies of this government, and we cannot continue to bury our heads in the sand while doing nothing more but pointing fingers and blaming others. For the past years, the government has spent all their energy telling people that the decay they are seeing all around them isn't real, that the violence and bloodshed flowing through our streets is just a mirage, that the hundreds of people lining up for food are just greedy people. Instead of crafting policies to benefit hardworking people, this government instead spent their time trying to rewrite reality. I believe as policymakers, there is no greater act of patriotism than to let you know what is really happening in the nation at this time. So I thank you very much. And one other number I'd asked for, the minister talked about gate funding, and he lied again, because in his own books over the years, we will see where the numbers of students have fallen. As of June 2015, students who received GATE under my watch, 59,605 persons. This is reproduced in the PSIP book, the SSIP book, Social Sector Investment Program, 2061. 59,605. By the time we get down, because we only have numbers up to 2021 so far, from 59,605 students, we are down to 28,534 students getting GATE. And he wants to come to boast about some new GATE initiative. The minister is not for real. When we talked about, when you talk about the amount of money expended, that too has fallen. 2017 down. So I'll do a little more details on that. I know you all will want to go. So any questions, and we can wrap up. I thank you all very much. Right, just 7 o'clock, just good in time. Yes. What's your name? Yeah, Jensen. Mm-hmm. It's good. You asked me that question last year, I think. If not you, somebody did. There may be 1 or 2 items, but overall, it's a tapestry. We cannot select or handpick one thing, and I say I like this. It is what is the overall structuring policy prescriptions for the economy to grow. And in terms of growth, I don't see anything this minister has mentioned today. Even he boasted so heavily about the energy sector being the greatest this and we'll do. I don't see any of that growing the economy. I don't see any of that growing the economy. So 1 or 2 of the grants people may welcome, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change the price of cocoa. At the end of the day, it doesn't improve the quality of lives of the majority of our citizens in the country. So I will not cherry pick. The minister cherry picked a lot. He did a lot of that in how he presented numbers and figures and so on. I hope that answers you. So the answer is not an outright no. I'm saying there may be 1 or 2 items, but by Friday I'll be a little more drilling down. I do not agree with that. I'll have to go back and look at the numbers. Where are you getting balance with a deficit of office? 2 point something? Yeah, and you are saying there's a balanced budget, sir? No, I do not agree. I'm sorry. I do not agree with your conclusion. I know there will be an increase in suffering. I would not like to say poverty is the cause of criminality. There's so many other factors that impact on the rate of on criminality and violence in the country. So maybe, maybe not. I will let you know in due course. I think I should look. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. If I have 4 hours, of course I'll take my 4 hours if I can. But that is pure sufferation for people to sit down there for 4 hours and only listen to fluff. So by Friday, the other side will say, oh God, Kamala, stop. I remember one year Marlene McDonald, a few others, when he had done I say 3 years, 3 hours or something, and I'm there going on and on. Oh God, Kamala, please, we want to go for lunch, please. Because I start at 10, so lunch is coming up down the road. So, you know, it is really, really difficult. But I wouldn't know until we fully analyze. I mean, I've said a lot today which may save me from having to repeat some of these things on Friday. So 4 hours, the team and I will make a decision.
You know, the government said that the legal framework is now in place for the implementation of the property tax come 2023.
I've heard that every year. So we wait again. Promises never materialize. We wait and see. And I'll be very happy if that promise does not materialize. As you know, we are against the property tax at this time where it is already so much hardship, fuel price increase and other things with food price increase and so on. This is like another whammy, a blow against the already beleaguered population. So I'll be happy if that promise does not come through. Yeah. I don't agree with that, and I could say no. We had settled in our term of office about 135 wage negotiations. They have settled only one in their 7 years of office, and that is with the amalgamated union. I believe it's amalgamated, one. Not one in 7 years has been honored. Then you come to the 4%, and I will make that commitment today. You cannot raise the fuel prices, you can't have all the food price, everything rising up, and you want to keep public sector workers at a 4%. You could have found the 23 million to pay this man rent, and you could have found the 250 million at NGC to pelt it away, and there are many other examples. And you can't find money to pay public sector workers. He talked about a 200 million for the health sector workers. Grand. You ask me what's nice. Hey, that sounds really good. But there's absolutely no detail of who, how, what, where. And it reminds me of in each agriculture budget last year, the year before, I'm giving 500 million for agricultural incentives. And by the end of the year, zero. Not a cent of it was spent. So there's no detail. It's absolutely vague. And I think, again, when you reward a team who has with the highest national award in the country, and other awards at the Republic Day Awards, you reward them for presiding over a country, ours, that has one of the highest death rates for COVID. You presided over a country that locked out its own citizens for 2 years, and you're getting national awards. You presided over the management of this thing, the lockouts, the deaths, and one of the highest school lockdowns in the world. Did you all know that? What was so bad about Trinidad? And you want to tell me these were the people when we asked them in Parliament to talk about COVID, they refused at least 5 times. We offered some suggestions, they pelt away the paper. And you say you managed COVID well? What sent me off on that rampage, please? What was your question? The wages. So you're going to give the health sector workers, I'm happy for them, yes. But I don't think this will happen, because I don't see how they're going to, no details whatsoever. And then why didn't you give the TTPS? The TTS were even more burdened than the health workers. Because they had to be out. I'm told they never got any, They were on leave, they were on restricted leave conditions. They had to work, they had to go and lock up all these people who didn't wear masks, break in quarantine. They worked non-stop. So you select out the healthcare personnel. I am saying I'm happy for them. But I'll wait to see it happen before I believe it. I'll wait to see it happen. Right, so anything else? Anybody? Anybody? Kevin, Kivan, anything else? Okay, if anyone is tuned in, locked on, this briefing will be rebroadcast at 8 p.m. tonight on several media. Check my Facebook and others. Our usual Monday night people broadcast for us. They will be broadcasting this instead of the Monday night forum. I want to thank my MPs and senators, my staff here, and my other staff for the tremendous job they've done in helping us prep for this budget. We have a lot hard week to come and a lot more preparation to do. Thanks very much. Darren, can you ensure they get a copy of this, please? You all want soft copy or hard copies? The soft is easier. Well, do you have?
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Entertainment, information, conversation. All on Street 91.9 FM. The official station that defends the nation, dealing with current issues in society.
If we could only get